So let's take a look at solving inequalities. We solve inequalities just like equations, but there's different types of notation you have to be aware of for what your final answer could possibly look like. Also, what you have to be careful of is when you multiply or divide by a negative on both sides of your inequality symbol, you're going to have to flip the sign. Alright, so if you take a look at your packet and you go to page 29 and you take a look at number 1, you're asked to solve negative 5x plus 5 is greater than 25. Alright, so very first thing I have to do is get x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. So I get negative 5x is greater than 20. I still need to get x by itself. Negative 5 and x are attached by multiplication, so that means I'm going to divide by negative 5. But since I'm dividing by a negative, that means I have to flip my symbol, so I get x is less than negative 4. So here's one way I can write my answer. I can say x is less than negative 4. Another way I could do it is I could actually have x on the right side. So I could say negative 4 is greater than x. Or I could use set builder notation, which says for every x is going to be less than negative 4. I also could put it on a number line. So if I put it on a number line, since it's less than, it does not include negative 4. So it's going to be an open circle, and since it's less than, to the left is less than negative 4, so I would shade to the left. So those are what my 4 possible answer choices are. So if you stay on page 29 and take a look at number 2, we have the inequality 2x minus 18 is greater than or equal to 5 times x plus 3. Very first thing you always have to look for is there any distributive? Well, on the right side of that inequality symbol there is, so I have to do 5 times x, which is 5x, and then 5 times 3, which is plus 15. And on the left side, I still have 2x minus 18 is greater than or equal to. Now I want to get all of my variables to one side. With an inequality, I prefer to put my x's on the left because we're just used to seeing x on the left with inequalities. Alright, so very first thing I have to do is subtract 5x on both sides. And when I do that, 2x minus 5x is negative 3x. So I have negative 3x minus 18 is greater than or equal to 15. Now I still have to get x by itself, so I'm going to add 18 to both sides. So I get negative 3x is greater than or equal to 33. Then I have to get x by itself again, so that means I have to divide both sides by negative 3. And since I'm dividing by a negative, I have to flip my symbol, so I get x is less than or equal to 11. I'm sorry, negative 11. So the 4 possible ways I could answer this is I could say x is less than or equal to negative 11. I could also say negative 11 is greater than or equal to x. I could say that for every x value, x is less than or equal to negative 11. I could also put it on a number line. And when I put it on a number line, since it's greater than or equal to, I'm going to have a closed circle on negative 11, and my x values are less than that, so I'm going to shade to the left since all of those values represent less than negative 11.